Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the very first episode of College Comprehension. This is going to be a channel all about giving you guys the insight that I didn't know as a 17-year-old going into college full time. Today's episode is going to be talking about the three things your high school most likely isn't telling you. We're going to start straight off just with finances. A lot of people don't plan for the cost of college. Now, if your parents are benevolent and are going to help you with those sort of expenditures, then that's great. My family didn't. That was mostly my choice. I wanted to be independent. That was just a thing of mine. I didn't want any student debt. And I don't recommend student debt at all unless absolutely necessary, which when I say that, it is really almost never necessary. If you start planning as soon as possible. So I would recommend getting a job as you turn 16, even earlier if possible. There's people that work for family businesses and such, under the table, whatnot. That's all great and all. But also just getting a good spot early on, researching what companies you work for, such as that. That can help a lot. I made my start in fast food, basically like the day I turned 16. Making $9 an hour at KFC. I, spent 9 months there. I think it was a waste of my time. I didn't do the proper planning and research that I should have. I would recommend more so jobs, grocery and retail, places like Walmart, Target, whatever local, chains you have there. There's grocery stores, Food Lion, Publix, Kroger, Deerbergs, Schnucks. I don't know where you guys live. I'm from the Midwest, but I moved here my freshman year of high school. I'm in Georgia now. So wherever you have, groceries are really good, stocking, cashiering, such stuff like that. Those pretty much as a cashier, you do the same exact job, but get paid more than fast food. Fast food's not sustainable in my experience. I make $14 an hour currently as a cashier at Publix, a grocery store, and I could have just stayed at fast food, and I probably would have only been making 11 or 12 an hour by this point, doing the same exact thing, with a little bit of differentiation, of course. But there's also food service. I don't like food service in general. Fast food's trash. There's good places like I have a friend that makes $18 an hour at a Chick-fil-A. That's great. Very good for them. They've put in the work for it, for sure. They deserve it. They've committed to that company. You want to find a company that gives you good benefits, not just like once you turn 18 as an adult, like insurance and stuff. You want to find a company that will help you with stuff like tuition assistance and is very, promotes from within, definitely a clear path to, making more money and maybe making that a career if you need something to fall back on. You can't really do that with fast food. So in terms of food service, there's jobs like hosting, serving. Serving sometimes requires you to be 18, depending if there's alcohol in the establishment. But depending on where you live, tips can be good. Down here in Georgia, I know a lot of people that make $100 a day from tips and such, because waitresses and servers, they don't get paid that much. Just by the company, but if your tips are good, if you're working a great rush day like a Friday, then you can definitely make a lot of money, and I would absolutely recommend that if you can find a job like that, because the more you make, the better. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is your budget. You're going to want to make a budget, and you're going to want to stick to it. And what I mean by budget is go hard on yourself. Like, whilst you're in your high school years, there should be no reason for you to be spending all your money. Do not take for granted the cushion you have in your parents as a child still. They pay for your food, your housing, clothes. If they're nice enough, they might pay for a car for you. And that's great. Just do not think that that's a given, because I did not have that thing. I didn't have that. I still don't have a car. I walk everywhere. I walk to work. I had a bike that got stolen. Things happen. You're going to want to make a budget. You're going to want to save almost all of what you make, and you can have some expenditures, maybe you pay for your phone plan, maybe you just pay for your phone straight up. I bought my phone, and I still have it. It's an iPhone 7. You cut down on all the just vain expenditures. People that go out to eat all the time with their friends. I get that, and that's great. But don't be dropping bags on that just unnecessarily every week. Make a budget, stick to it. You should be saving almost all that you have. Depending on how much you work and how much you make, you can save around $1,000 a month, if not more. That's what I currently do. Working 20 hours a week, I say, is probably the good point to start at. Less than that, unless you're making a lot per hour, for whatever reason, and you don't need to work more hours, that's great. But if you're making, a basic wage like I am, 14 an hour or something, you're going to want to go for the hours, unless you're someone that gets paid off commission or tips or whatever, in which case that's a little more volatile and there's more to consider. But just know where you're at and start planning for how much you're going to have for college, because there's people that, don't have amazing grades that can't get like some of the best scholarships, and in that case it's going to be a lot out of pocket. And that's just how it is sometimes. And if your parents especially aren't going to help with that, you don't want to get caught with student debt. So plan now so that you don't have to go through student debt, because that's just horrible. My mom was like 30 before she was out of student debt, and most people are even beyond that. I'm just against debt in general, but especially student debt, because that's just almost everyone falls into that, and it's just a huge detriment and a huge drag on you in your young adult years when you should be just going into the green. Huge. The last thing I want to talk about with finance is just investing. As soon as you turn 16, you can get an app like Alinea, which is what I use. There's also Webull, Copper. Teach yourself about investing, not just because it's a great way to make your money work for you, but having your money in a savings account is honestly kind of a waste. Your money's not doing anything in there. You're getting a 3% annual return rate on that, or whatever it is, depending. It's just, there's no reason to have your money sitting in a savings account. Putting money into a Roth IRA, if you can get one before you turn 18, that's great. I don't have a Roth IRA even now. I'm only 17. I'm going to start one immediately when I turn 18. But starting a Roth IRA, if you don't want to be, if you can't, or you don't want to put all your money away to where it's unreachable, then I understand that. I certainly couldn't put all of my money into stuff like that. Then you can go into something a little more like obtainable or liquid, I guess. Stuff like stocks. Everybody wants, something that makes them a ton of money instantly. Options trading does that, but don't do options trading, because that mostly requires a lot of money to do and to actually like make a bunch of money from. That's higher tier. That's once you get to 18 and above, that you want to actually start doing that once you have 6 figures in the bank that you can use as leverage for your options trading. And even that requires a lot of skill. You can, I think the statistic is 95% of options traders actually lose on average. So it's very hard to succeed in that. Invest in companies that are pretty stable. Obviously, right now it's very unique of an economy. I'm a finance and economics major, but I'll talk about that later. So I know above all that right now is crazy, but invest in the good companies that have a future. Don't try to go for some small volatile company when you're putting your money into investing, because you don't want to actually have profit. You don't want to lose all that. So I'm currently in Amazon, companies like Tesla. One important factor is not that you try to buy low, because obviously everything's low right now. But you just want to, I think more important is consistently putting money into that kind of investment, just on a certain basis. Make that part of your budget as you go on into from 16 to 18 once you graduate, and then continuing that as well, because you'll make dividends from that. And if you have to sell, then sure, but by that point you should have years of growth, and you should be able to sell with profit. So which is going to be at a much greater rate than a savings account. So that's going to be it for finance. Number 2 is going to be, you're going to want to plan out what you want to do for college, like the second you enter your freshman year. As soon as you start making high school credit, you want to be taking your grades seriously. You want to be looking at scholarships and their criteria. You want to be looking at what you can do now as, a 14-year-old or 13-year-old, whatever it is, 14-year-old, to be making the criteria for those good scholarships for your state or your specific college. There's a myriad, just unthinkable amounts of scholarships for so many different things. You want to do your research on that as soon as possible. For my AP kids, there's College Board scholarships. For athletics, there's scholarships. Everybody knows that. But then for clubs, there's scholarships, especially student government, Young Republicans, Model UN, stuff like that. That's amazing. Loads of scholarships for those sorts of things. There's scholarships for minorities, for people that have unique situations, for kids of service members. You're going to want to look into the niches that you fit into as a person, because there's scholarships for just about everything, and you want to become competitive as soon as possible for those kinds of scholarships. If you can fit into the most niches or the most low competition, I guess, scholarships, like the most unique scholarships, I should say, that's better of a word, the most unique ones, then as possible, the most of those as possible, that's great. I'm, not saying go, make some crazy moves to sort of force that to happen, but if you are the person that your dad's in the military, maybe there's loads of scholarships for that, and even there they have their GA bill or GI bill, whatever it is, to help you if you need that, if they're willing to give you that, if they haven't already used it themselves. For people that don't have a parent, or the people that suffer from mental illness, or people that suffer from physical ailments. There's literally scholarships for everything. You're going to want to plug into a site. I use bold.com, scholarships.com. There's loads of others. Apply for as many as possible. Of course, start with the no essay scholarships, because those are en masse. There's tons of those. Obviously, there's smaller scholarships, but if you apply to a couple hundred of those, and that sounds harder than it is. It's actually really easy to do that, and a website like Bold or whatever, where you just kind of click through them to apply, because it's no essay. You just build your portfolio, give your credentials, stuff like that, like what your grades are, GPA, what clubs you're in, and then it kind of just like recommends some for you. That's a really great tool to use, because you can apply for hundreds of scholarships pretty much just like in a day. After that, you're going to want to move into the scholarships that require essays. Those are the bigger ones, and those are a lot, like, really competitive as well, because there's a lot of people that want those big scholarships, because who doesn't want a couple $1,000s just for writing an essay and for having a certain skill or circumstance. When it comes to that, take your essay very seriously. Write it well, have somebody proofread it, because having a bad essay for a scholarship application is pretty much just a surefire way to not get that scholarship. That's going to be it for number 2. Number 3 is going to be knowing your major, knowing what you want to pursue. A lot of people are like, I'm going to go get a degree in music or ceramics. I'm not trying to bash the fine arts right now, but I was in choir since 4th grade, but there's definitely marketable degrees and there's unmarketable degrees. You want to do your research. I say research a lot, but it's honestly true. You want to do a load of research to find out what degree you want. There's lots of tools to find out what degrees go with your skill sets. People like me, good at math. I actually wanted to be a mathematician, and that sounds completely random. It is. Being a mathematician is kind of, no one thinks about that, but I was like, I love math. Let me just be a mathematician. I didn't even know what that meant. I just thought I'd end up being like Albert Einstein, because we're that stupid like that when we're young. But he was a physicist anyway. It's whatever. But yeah, I wanted to be a mathematician. Go get a degree in mathematics. But then, how is that marketable? Who's going to hire you with a degree in specifically mathematics? You have to consider the fact that this is going to be what determines your career for basically your life. I'm not saying you're locked into whatever your degree is. There's loads of people that have degrees that go into different fields, and I understand that. Or there's people that go into the military become an officer and make six figures, and they don't really do anything that pertains to their degree. My stepdad, he has a bachelor's in music, and he doesn't really use that at all. I mean, he drums, sure, he's good at that, but like it's not like he drums for work, you know. He's an officer in the army, and just you wanna have something marketable, because most likely, of course, this is going to be your career. You want to have a plan for what jobs you want. I want to be in financial advisory. And that's why I'm dual majoring economics and finance together. I'm probably going to start, or I'm going to finish my finance major first, because from my research, that has the higher starting salary, the higher marketability, the more likely to get a job. But then my economics major will be followed soon after that, and I'm most likely going to be going after my master's in business administration or something like that. Probably not supply chain management, just because. But those are complicated concepts. If you're not a finance and economics major like me, that's fine. There's loads of not scholarships, majors that are marketable. Um, there's stuff like communications. There's different niches of work, and you have to find something that you're going to like to do for the rest of your life. You don't want to go be a biochemistry major if you hate science, just because it pays a bunch. You don't want to be a doctor if you can't handle, seeing loads of patients a day. If you're not a social person, you don't want to have a social job. Um, there's a lot of different factors that go into that, but find something that you're good at and that can basically make you money. For me, that was math. Applied mathematics, in terms of money. And you just gotta find something marketable, find something to get a job with, start a career. And I guess that's it for now. One heck of a first video. Obviously low quality, unscripted, just improv. I have no idea if I'm going to be consistent with this. I'm going to try. I guess I might as well. I feel like this is something that could happen. That's good. If you want more college advice from a person in a very unique situation, who didn't know that much going into it and now knows a lot that I wish I knew, subscribe, share this with your high school friends, even your college friends. I'll make college applicable videos in the future too. I hope to, at least. So just thank you if you are seeing this right now. If you watch the whole 17 and a half minutes of this, I greatly appreciate it. This could be the start of something huge. I have no idea. We'll see how it goes, and I guess I'll just see you guys in the next one. Thanks.